We're just letting everyone connect, make sure that they have their audio connected before we start. All right, it is 6:08. Let's call this meeting of the Ellensburg School Board Directors to order. Before we get started, I would like to remind everyone that this meeting will be recorded, and also that we will be having 2 public comment periods. There will be a public comment period after 4A, which is the update on reopening schools. The board will discuss, and then we will open that up for public comment specifically to that agenda item. And then we will also have public comment in its traditional spot, which is 7A. At this point, will you please join us and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Dan Schisler.
I suppose you want me to unmute. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Dan. And I'd like to take this moment to introduce the board members who are here. Dan Schisler, Jason White, Hilda Pena Alfaro, Meg Ludlam, and I am Tasha Woods. We're also joined by Superintendent Haber and various district admin, which I'm trying to scan the room in order to see, but so I'm just gonna stick with various district administrators are here also. We typically have our 2 student board members here also. Olivia could not join, and I'm not sure, oh, there is Jaden, and Jaden is here also. We're thankful to have 2 student board reps on our board. We have our consent agenda that is up.
So Tasha, I would like to move that we table the approval of the consent agenda to our next regular business meeting, just due to the fact that we didn't have the minutes actually posted there. I hope Matt is having a great vacation.
So Jason has moved and Dan has signaled a second on the tabling of the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Then with a roll call vote, Meg?
Aye.
Hilda?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
I also vote aye, so that consent agenda is tabled. Thankfully, this consent agenda only had the minutes in it, and so we will review that at a different meeting. That moves us on to administration item 3A, WAIA update for fall. We're lucky enough to be joined by Cole Canyer.
Oh, I don't know if you're lucky or not, or unlucky, but no, I'm happy to be here. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on what the latest from the WIA is. And just to confirm, it's WIAA, not WAIA. So no big deal. Just wanted to confirm. So board members, you guys should have links. And if you don't, we can screen share or whatever. But there are some links for you guys that talk about the new modified sports season calendar. Obviously, traditionally, we go fall, winter, spring sports. And now they become season 1, season 2, season 3, and season 4 sports. In order to read this, you just kind of have to understand traditionally what the seasons were, as well as what it means to have an alternate season. And I'm really sorry. I'm getting a ton of feedback. Can everybody mute themselves real quick so I can, there we go. So season 1 is listed as alternate seasons for each of those 4 sports listed: cross country, slow pitch, golf, and tennis. And Maddie, if you'd go back to that other tab, or whoever's in control of the screen right now, there we go. The alternate season definition is essentially just that we can compete in that season in those sports if we were to choose and we were within the phasing requirements set by the state. But your regularly season competition would take place in that season, but whatever postseason culminating event would still take place in the regular season, which in this case is season 3 for all of those sports. So for all intents and purposes at Ellensburg High School this year, we will not be offering any WIAA season 1 sports. Instead, we will hope to get to a phasing requirement high enough for us to participate in basketball, bowling, and wrestling. I don't know, obviously based on the current information we have, it's not looking good for those sports, but who knows what can happen. As we know, information changes every minute. So maybe we'd have some good information coming this winter and be a good Christmas present for us all to allow for some winter sports. And that'd be season 2. Season 3 is where our fall sports that are traditionally played would be moved to, and that's volleyball, football, girls swim and dive, cross country, and what am I missing? Girls soccer. And the seasons are condensed into just over 8 weeks based on the pre-practice and then the postseason event. Football is a little bit longer because the practice requirements are a little bit more than every other sport. But this is the WIA's concession in terms of hoping to offer, as long as we possibly can, these sports for our kids. And then obviously season 4 would be our traditional spring sports season, which would run from the start of May until the end of June, which of course conflicts with the graduation date that we probably already have set, along with many other schools in the state. But understanding that trying to cram 3 seasons into 6 months isn't easy, and so we're trying to do the best we can with what we have. Maddie, if you would go to that other screen now, that would be awesome. This other tab, and both of these links can be found on the WIAA website. It talks about the start date and the end date for when the seasons can potentially be played. Now, cross country is a little deceiving, but you have to remember the alternate season. We won't even be turning out for cross country until season 3, as long as we're in acceptable phasing at that time. And if you scroll down a little bit farther, Maddie, I won't read through this for you guys, but it talks about each sport in season 1, season 2, season 3, and the specifics on when competitions can start, what phasing requirements there are for practice and competition, eligibility concerns like the 50% date to be eligible for a postseason event. And that's for every sport in each season. So that is for anybody to see. You guys can go to WIAA.com to see that. But as of right now, that is the latest information we have. And our hope is that we can use some time in the fall to do some individual skill development in small groups so that our programs continue to move forward and our kids can still do skill development. But our sports season technically wouldn't be starting up until December 28th if we're within proper phasing at that time. So after meeting with Dr. Larson today, even though it's pretty clear we're going to be starting virtually this year, he said that if we came up with proper plans, we could utilize a September 28th through November 30th time period to do some small group skill work. And August 18th, our first meeting of our COVID Athletic Council will take place. And that includes some administrators and some coaches from our district to hopefully hammer out and dial in some plans on safe instruction for our kids during that time, pending what phase we're in. So is there any questions that you guys have for me that I can answer right now in regards to what athletics might look like at Ellensburg High School next year?
Yeah, I have a question. Have you thought about how to get kids to the games or events? We can't cram 55 kids on a bus now. And I don't know that we're going to be able to take 10 kids on each of 5 buses or something like that. That would be, I don't know. Have you thought anything about that yet?
We sure have thought about it, Dan, but we have not come up with any solutions on how to effectively do that, pending we get into competition. As you know, our cross-country program typically has a significant amount of students. In order to safely distance them, we'd be taking, like you said, 5 buses potentially to a cross-country invite. So we're going to be looking at a lot of different things. Many of those things haven't even been discussed yet, but we're going to try to make it work however we can, with the primary focus being on varsity sports and allowing our varsity athletes to compete, and then providing some other opportunities for maybe our sub-varsity athletes that maybe don't include far travel or a rotational basis or something. But we've thought about it, but we haven't been able to come up with any solutions yet.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Do any other board members have any questions? Cole, this is probably, if you can say there's a complicated thing in all of this COVID, this is certainly near the top, figuring out the athletics and how to support coaches and students in competition and how does that all play out. You had mentioned that we can't, like September 7th was the start date, but since of our current health order, September 7th is no longer a start date for these.
Yeah, so that was the traditional start date for our our fall sports season and season 1. But since those all became alternate seasons, we've chosen to not offer any of those sports until season 3, which is when its culminating event will be held. So with that said, we won't be offering, the WIA has allowed some concessions for out of season time. Now, pretty much the start of summer until August 14th was the first summer coaching season where all programs could coach with no restrictions. Obviously, we haven't done anything with our sports. We've had some roadblocks that we faced in terms of getting approval of our COVID plans and moving forward with those. So we have not done any summer activities yet. Hopefully, the goal of our COVID athletic council will be to establish kind of an overarching plan that will apply to every program, and then we can have some specific program checks in place to make sure that our kids are receiving safe instruction. And with the approval of our insurance company, Dr. Larson and Ginger, and maybe our school attorneys is kind of where we were at before, we can offer some small group instruction for a period that the WI has designated, again, for some full out of season coaching from September 28th through November 30th. And we've got about 2 months window where we could, at least keep our kids involved in some things that are outside of the school and bring them in and allow them to do some things under close supervision of our coaches.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for Cole? Thank you, Cole, for bringing that update to us. I know lots of people are very interested in it, how our sports are going to look.
Absolutely. Thanks for your time.
That leads us to item B. Sorry, my screen is changing. I'm trying to find it. The resolution 20.08.20. We'll go with that. The district reopening plan. Ginger,
Yeah, so this is not an action item for tonight, but I thought it was really important for you guys to see this in advance. So this is a resolution that we'll be looking at and asking you to pass when we actually bring you the final draft of our reopening plan. We shared our draft document so far, and what we have in place, what we're digging deeper with in our reopening plan. So we do have that draft. We have 2 different committees right now made up of administrators, teachers. We've got some counselors on these committees. One around wellness. We combined like wellness and facility operations into one committee. And so we do have mixed staff members. Again, we've got teachers, we've got some administrators, counselors. I believe we have a classified staff member on it as well. A wellness facility operations committee, and then we have an instructional technology committee. Both of those committees have met this week. They're using the draft safety plan that I presented to you guys at the last board meeting. They're using that draft to kind of dig deeper and say, okay, what do these guidelines mean at the secondary level, for example, and what do these guidelines look like at the elementary level? They're brainstorming some ideas around that. And then principals will be using the information from these committees to then say, okay, for example, at Morgan Middle School, looking at these guidelines, looking what needs to be done, here are the steps that we need to be sure to put in place when we are able to, when the numbers and the metrics for Kittitas County allow us to be able to bring students safely back to school, as safe as it can be, because it's not completely safe until we have a vaccine or immunization for COVID. So again, this is just for you to look at, and then the reopening plan gets posted on the website. But I just really thought it was important for you to see it ahead of time. then we'll bring it to you again at the next meeting.
Does anyone have any questions or clarification on that? This item has been posted though as an action item in our agenda, so I think that you need to formally table this or move it forward.
Yeah, I would say let's table it until the next time.
Okay. Tasha, I'll move that we table this to the next regular meeting.
Jason has tabled, so someone
I'll
should.
second.
Thank you. Jason has tabled and Dan has seconded. He made a motion to table and Dan has seconded. I apologize. Is there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor with the roll call vote. Meg?
Aye.
Hilda?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
I also vote aye, so that resolution is tabled. That brings us to agenda item 4A, the update on reopening schools.
Yes, so I'm going to share my screen. Maybe. Oh, there it goes. Hold on. So, as you know, because you received it as well, this was an email that was sent out to all of our parents and our staff members today. And I know Kittitas County Public Health Department came out with a strong recommendation that schools, all schools in Kittitas County start online at the beginning of fall, which for us is September 9th, for all students to start online on September 9th. And we put a link in there that explains the metrics, but basically, and the state just came out, was released and mentioned in the governor's, Governor Inslee gave a press conference today at 3. He mentioned this document. I'll be sharing that out. I'll share that with you as well as our staff members and community. But basically, there's some good decision-making trees as well as some metrics now that have come out from the Department of Health that are really going to help guide our decisions as far as when, according to the Department of Health, is it safe as it can be to bring students back into school in a hybrid model? When could we possibly consider bringing all students back? And when are they strongly recommending for us to have online learning for all students? And where Kittitas County stands right now is we're, I think, a little over 200 200 cases per 100,000 during this 2-week time period. And 75, I think, was just going off memory without that document in front of me, is about as close to the safer zone where you can start thinking about the potential of, having a hybrid or at least working in that direction. So given, we also talked with Dr. Larson today at noon, and we said, well, what's the prediction, right? What's your prediction of when we could possibly go into think about bringing smaller groups of students back, like in a hybrid model? And certainly he's hoping, that will happen. But with us being so high right now, who knows, maybe 4 to 8 weeks. It's really hard to predict because really, and this was something that he shared too, is it's really about how we respond here in Kittitas County with, really being intentional with those behaviors around wearing masks when we're around other people, not gathering in large groups, keeping the social distancing, all those great guidelines that we followed, I think, really well, because we were in phase 3 for a couple of months, close to a month and a half at least. And really helping each other stay to those kinds of behaviors are really going to help get the numbers back down again, so that we could think about being more in that little safer zone with the metrics, so that we could consider opening up with the hybrid model, which we put a lot of planning and time into. And if we do reach those metrics, I think we're, because of all that planning that we put into it, I think that we would be ready to be able to implement that. So, based on speaking with Dr. Larson directly today, based on what came out from the Kittitas County Public Health Department, based on where we know our metrics are, which they're way above what the Department of Health would consider as, that we might be more in that safer zone to be able to open. I am making the recommendation to the Board of Education that we follow that recommendation that not only Dr. Larson put out in his Kittitas County press release that he put out today, but also from the proclamation that Governor Inslee also said during his press conference today. So again, the recommendation to the board is basically to do some adaptation to the original plan, and that is to have all students start online. And then if we are able to reach that lower caseload per 100,000 people, and we get that green light from Dr. Larson, and he says, yep, looking at the metrics, looking at what's happening within our county, I think that we could work together to open the schools again and for that hybrid model, then we would be able to move forward with that. There are also a few other things that go along with it that I wanted to mention to you that were also in my letter. Certainly, we really hope to be able to bring all students back at some point, but definitely to be able to bring them back in smaller groups within that hybrid model. And even though we are starting with all students online at the beginning of the year, we're still going to have two different, we could call them learning pathways or learning models that will be going. So we have right now, I think, close to 900 students that have signed up to be on the virtual academy, which means that those students and parents are committing for a semester for students to be at home, learning online. And we did purchase the Edgenuity platform program, and those students will be primarily working within the Edgenuity curriculum with teachers that will become real experts at that curriculum and be supporting students with that curriculum. For other students, we also have even greater number of students whose parents are saying, we would still like to have the option, even though we're starting online, to be able to go to the hybrid, to have my student there at least twice a week, knowing that at some point we hope to bring all students back. But of course, we need to promote safety, and that is the top priority for both our staff and our students. So we need to be able to promote safety at the same time. But we do have a large group of parents also who are saying, if we start the year in a distance model, these students that are in that learning pathway, the hybrid model we're still calling, when our cases go down and if Dr. Larson gives us the green light, then the students that are in that learning model or that learning pathway then would still follow that AB model that we have in place. Again, although all students are starting online, and what's the difference in curriculum? Well, again, the students in the virtual academy, those teachers will be primarily using the Edgenuity curriculum. The students that are in the hybrid pathway, starting online, we also have the learning management system, Schoology, which right now will be a one place stop, a one place for parents, for students to go to access any of our programs, because we heard loud and clear from parents and students that it was really, we did our very best, and our teachers are amazing. We all tried hard to streamline it and make it as accessible as possible. But just using the Google Suite and Google Classroom just wasn't really serving our parents and students the way it needed to. So we did get Schoology. I do think that opening online, which is the recommendation to the board tonight, because we have Schoology and it's more one place for everyone to go to access the program that they need, it's going to streamline it for both learning models, students in both learning models. And I would also say that students that are in the hybrid model, those teachers could use Edgenuity. We're also going to give them an opportunity to know that curriculum and to be able to use it, because Edgenuity has some great pre-made videos and other types of resources that we think all teachers will find helpful. But those teachers in the hybrid may also use some of the other types of online learning tools that we have, as well as for the high school, for example, we have some specialty classes that Edgenuity doesn't really include. So those teachers would be using Schoology and the tools that are in there, as well as creating the content similar to what we did last year, only we have a better vehicle to be able to serve our parents and students this year by using Schoology. So that's kind of the big picture. We, as a result, also, you'll notice in the letter, as a result of the announcement today by Kittitas Public Health, as well as Governor Inslee, we are reopening the opportunity for parents to sign their students up for the virtual academy until August 12th. And so we felt like if since things really changed with Kittitas County's announcement, that it was fair to be able to reopen that more time for our parents and our students. So that is the recommendation, and would like to know if you have any questions about what I shared.
I would like some clarification on the two models.
That is Jaden Ginger.
Jaden, can you be a little more specific on what you want clarification on?
Yes, so it'll be district staff and the teachers working with students on both models, regardless if it's the virtual academy or the hybrid pathway?
Yes.
Okay. And then is more information going to come out for hybrid students on how to start the Schoology program? Because we went into last spring already having a schedule, an idea of our classes, but we're kind of going in blind this September.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I put this in the letter too, that we're going to have much more specific information to send to students, to their families around how each of those learning models are going to work. So I do appreciate your asking that question, Jaden. And, we're still working through some of the nuts and bolts of both of those approaches. But I anticipate that, by the time we have our next board meeting, we'll have a lot more specific type of information that we have already sent out, as well as, you might have some new and more specific questions for us then too, Jaden.
Great, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Are we going to be able to do the special ed kids still? Or is
Yep.
So they'll be coming into the schools?
We're looking at that right now. Dan, I appreciate your asking that question. I know that there's been a lot of information, recent new information that was just given to special ed directors yesterday. So we're still working through that, but we're 100% committed to meeting the needs of our special ed students. And especially, we want to make sure that we are following everything that is on their individual education plan, their IEPs. And so, yes, whether they're in the virtual or in the hybrid, our students who are on individual education plans will be served.
Okay, good. I did want to make a comment. Part of the U.S. Constitution is that the government is here to promote the general welfare, which is, I think, what we're doing. And I really appreciate what Dr. Larson's done for us already. He's been very much on top of this whole thing and has kept us very healthy up until now. And it's just caught up with us. And I was a little afraid of what was going to happen when all the kids showed up back at school. But this will give us a little bit more time to work on that general welfare part and see if we can do something about getting our sports going. I'm still kind of unsure about how that's going to work. Very unsure.
Yeah, and Dan, I appreciate you bringing that up. I had a chance to see the draft document, which I was not allowed to share at the time because it was a draft, of the information, and it might already be posted on the Department of Health, and so I'll find it and send it to you. But it basically not only had metrics for when it would be safer to open up schools, but it also gave us some good guidance around extracurricular activities like sports.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Do any other board members have comments or questions? Go ahead, Jason.
Sorry, I always have to have a comment, don't I? This is such a tough one because I think this has been such an issue for our community and especially for some of our families. You know, I applaud the district for really trying to accommodate everyone's needs because we have working families, but that need and want and are hoping students could get back into the physical school, and then yet we have a lot of people concerned for many reasons and want the virtual academy. So again, thanks for these updates. I am kind of relieved that Mark came forward with this announcement because I also hear from teachers that I know the ambiguity of just not knowing, like, what will this fall be? We keep trying to move forward with a plan, but we know that anytime it could change. So I know while this is disappointing for a lot of our community members to not start in person, at least what I feel confident about is it's not going to be a repeat of spring, meaning our teachers now at least have an answer or will have an answer, right? And we have things in place already for them to start getting caught up. That doesn't mean it's not going to be a huge challenge for them. And I applaud the teachers for that challenge that's ahead of you. And I'm so excited to see how this will be different than it was this spring. And so anyway, I'm nervously, I think as we all are, about how this moves forward, but just applaud the efforts that the districts are doing and the efforts that the teachers are making to make this a really great start for the fall, even though it's not what a lot of us wanted. We've got to let education be #1 priority. And I believe that we've got the people in place to do that. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Does anyone else have, yep, go ahead, Meg.
I just want to say, well said, Jason. I too am relieved, and it helps to have some certainty. And it's not what we want, but at least we know what we're getting for a while.
Hilda, did you want to add anything? I'm trying to make sure. Okay. It's difficult on Zoom trying to make sure that everyone can speak when they need to. I also want to give my thanks to Kittitas County Public Health. They have worked diligently and they've provided updates. I've been thankful for that as a community member. I've been thankful for that as a school board member. Not all counties have been as lucky to have as involved and active public health department. So really kudos to that team because they are making tough decisions every single day with guidance that changes every single day. This is a difficult decision. This was a difficult decision when we took this vote in June. This became very difficult in March when all of a sudden we needed the problem solving to kick in. But our district admin, Ginger, Jennifer Kuntz, Kelly Kronbauer, I can't even name the people, Patty Kimmel, who have been sitting at district office while the rest of us were social distancing in our homes. They have been sitting in those offices getting that guidance and constantly keeping up to it and problem solving. And in being in meetings across the state and across the nation with other schools, there's been many times I've been sitting there just going, wow, our district admin were having this discussion in June. In June, we were having 9 public forums in order to get the information and start problem solving. And really, the thing is that there isn't a right answer, right? Virtual is not a great answer for everyone right now, and hybrid's not a great answer, and being in our schools face-to-face isn't a great answer. We can only do the best that we can and make the best decisions that we can. And so it's the same thing that Dr. Larson has said in his YouTube updates. This is on us as a community. This is our personal decisions for our public health, but it's also our personal decisions for our children, right? This is now, I have 4 kids in the district. How I react to this as a parent and a community member will impact my children. I know that our district admin have worked diligently and found solutions, so we are not like in the spring. I know that our teaching staff they've been doing professional development all summer and learning more probably about Google than they ever wanted to know about Google. Learning has never just happened in our classrooms. Our schools have never had the monopoly on learning. Our kids have learned in homes, in fields, on football fields. That will happen again this year. Our kids are going to be okay. We're going to see that growth, and how we come together as a community right now will help determine that. And so I really encourage everyone. I know this vote or this decision or how school goes is not going to be what everyone wants. But we can have those conversations and solve it, right? For the virus is real, it is here. We need to get control of it. And so now we need to move past arguing whether the virus is real and whether we should use masks and decide how are we going to support our students and our staff. I was really encouraged to have those type of conversations versus I wish we were an X model or Y model. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment before we open up to public comment? Okay, at this time, Maddie, we're going to open this up to public comment. So I'm not sure what Matt does on the back end while I'm reading my wonderful script here. He does do something. Does that help, Maddie? All right, as we go to public comments, I'm going to read this first. Individuals wishing to be heard by the board will first be recognized by the chair. Individuals will be recognized within Zoom by using the icon to show they are raising their hand. Individuals, after identifying themselves by stating their name and address for the record, individuals will proceed to make comments within 3 minutes. In order to provide equal opportunity for comments, an individual's microphone will be turned off at the 3-minute time limit. The chair may interrupt or terminate an individual's statement when it is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. The board as a whole has a final decision in determining the appropriateness of all such rulings. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act 4230, agendas and topic must be set in advance of the meeting. Board members will not respond to public comment during the meeting. Additionally, comments can be submitted to the board at board@esd401.org, and one of us will put that email in the chat box. That email, it goes to all board members, so, and it does become a public record, it does become a public comment. Maddie, do you have everything that you need on your end?
I do.
All right, thank you. So at this point, we are opening up public comment on this agenda item. Please raise your hand. You can do that by putting your mouse over the reactions. Maddie and the board will be helping me see if anyone's raising their hand. When I call on you, please identify yourself with your name and address. This is always the long waiting game because
I see one from Jen Patterson.
All right, thank goodness. I didn't read the monologue for no reason. Go ahead, Jen. Oh, Jen, you are muted. Sorry, Jen. Maddie, can you unmute her?
I'm unmuted now. I did it. My name's Jennifer Patterson. I'm on Westmount Baker Court in Ellensburg. My daughter, Avery, is going to be a sophomore at the high school this year. And I just want to say I cannot support the decision to go fully virtual online to start the school year more. We've reached a point in our community where we need, thank goodness Dr. Larson stepped up and made this decision, but we've reached a point in our community where we gotta have others take the reins and make the decisions, because we are proving that we cannot keep each other safe. We need to keep kids home from schools to not only protect our educators and staff at the school district, but also to protect everybody in the community, because like I said, we're not doing enough. We need to do more. So I just want to say I think it's wonderful that the school district has, like you said, in June was making these decisions and having so much parental involvement to decide how we proceed. And we already have it in place. We're already ready to go. And it just makes me proud to be a part of the school district. That's it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment to the board? I'm gonna give everyone 15 more seconds. If you can't find that hand, it's above your reactions.
I've got another one from, I don't have a name, but there is a phone, Galaxy S8. I'm unmuting you now.
Hi, my name is Joanne Tenney, school bus driver, Ellensburg. And when you guys have done all these plans and whatnot, do we have any idea where we go as school bus drivers or what our plans are for the first part of the year at all?
Thank you. We can't respond to public comment at this point, but I will direct Ginger to answer that at a different time.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to make a public comment to the board?
Oh,
I'm not sure that person's intentionally not muted.
sorry.
It's okay. The baby had something to say to the board. It is noted.
I was raising my hand, but I don't know if she...
Oh, go ahead. Please state your name and address.
Janelle Johnson, 808 East Capitol Avenue. I just think that I'm glad we have a decisive plan, I guess, now. My concern is maybe, and I'm glad that you extended the timeline to sign up for the virtual academy, but I think it's like we have to kind of reassess things as parents also. Like, so we were gonna do the hybrid, but maybe now we would choose something different. And so I'm just wondering if there's, like, where do we go when we have questions about how it all works together? Like, let's say you have a band student and there, you know, those kind of questions, because I think it's been hard to get information of how to work through either like choosing to homeschool or choosing the virtual academy or doing the hybrid. How do those things work? You know, so maybe that there would be a link or a, like, put your questions here or kind of a thing. That might be really helpful for families that are like reevaluating what their plan is. Yeah, that was my comment. Thank you so much for your hard work, board. This is definitely difficult to do, so thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment to the board? Maddie, I'm not seeing anybody.
I don't see any more either.
All right, at this point, we are closing the public comments on this agenda item. Board, this agenda item is an action item. Is there any further discussion? The chair will entertain a motion.
I'll move that we adopt the suggestions or recommendations made by Dr. Larson and the county to go all online to begin school.
Is there a second?
I second.
Dan has motioned and Hilda has seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Sorry, I have a quick question. So with the resolution that's in draft form, we don't, I think it's probably more for Ginger. I'm just wanting to make sure, I mean, I guess if all we're doing, if I guess the motion is just that we're going to be in line with what Dr. Mark Larson said, if that's, I guess that's all that we're voting for, that I guess, I think there's a part of me that wants to see it all together. So that was just my question. Does it make sense, Ginger? Like, as far as the admin is concerned, you see no concerns with us going ahead, the board moving forward to make this decision, just knowing that you will have a plan to share later?
Right. Yes, I fully recommend this. I think it's the right thing for students and staff, especially concerning the high number of COVID-19 cases that we have in our community right now. I think our chances of it having an outbreak at school, if we were even to open at hybrid right now, if it's even at September 9th, based on my conversations with Dr. Larson, I think that it would not be, we could potentially see cases happen fairly quickly like we have in other states, and Governor Inslee talked about that as address. So yes, I do think this is the right recommendation, and I think that you could consider this as, you know, part of the reopening plan. I went back through that resolution and it's a little confusing, but it basically, when I read it, to me, that's where you've got the whole plan ready to go, but I think you could consider this as part of it, because the formal reopening plan will be what I just described today, that we're going to start all online for everybody. And then if the numbers of infection go down, we want to still be able to do hybrid and the virtual academy.
Meg, go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is the right recommendation and is what's going to happen, but it is not listed as an action item on the agenda.
I actually put it down as possible action needed. And I think that's enough of a statement on there.
Oh, right. Okay, I see that.
And this is just, this vote and this decision is just one part of that reopening plan.
Right, right.
Going virtual is not the whole reopening plan. It's an unfortunate situation that we're in, that we have to make this choice, but I believe that it is the right choice in order to keep our staff and our students and our community safe. I also believe that we have the tools to make it look very different than it did last spring. And anyone who is involved in those public forums, who came and joined those Zoom meetings and voiced their opinion and their needs and wants, that was really important that you did that, that people came and told the board and told our teachers and told our admin. And I hope that we have other avenues during this, that we have other feedback loops in that, so that as we move into this year of nobody has seen anything like this before, that we have feedback loops for those focus, for those groups that are, this impacts our community on every single level.
Yep, I agree.
All right, my last comment. I think I'm sorry, board. I am a little bit uncomfortable with it. I feel like we have no other choice. I feel like with the recommendation from Dr. Mark Larson, as well as from the governor today, the recommendations that's been kind of put out there is that there's really no other option for us. I would just feel better probably having tabled this to say, I don't like to move forward with something without the plan being in place, but I recognize, and I won't be the one that doesn't move this forward. I know that a plan has been worked on since well before June. So that's just where my reluctance is. And so that's what I'm struggling with a little bit, is that I just wish this was going with the plan, but I see the need for this. And I honestly think I'm getting stuck on it when we have really probably no other choice. This is pretty much what
I'm
we-
going to respectfully disagree with you, Jason, that we don't have a choice. I think that we do have a choice, and that everyone that has been standing in here making these choices, they're all hard choices, and we could shove it off on Dr. Larson's shoulders, and we could shove it off onto Governor Inslee's shoulders. We have got to make hard choices in these seats, and we've got to make hard votes. And it's not fair to our teachers and to our staff and to our students and families if there's uncertainty going into the fall. And it's not fair to them if they work diligently to open it for 2 weeks just to be shut down, which is what we're seeing in Georgia, which is what we're seeing in the South across the nation right now. We do have a choice in this. Are we going to stand up and take a hard vote right now and say, yes, we're going to go virtual with all of the entanglement that brings? Or are we going to say, well, we're really not quite sure right now. We're going to table this until we're a little bit more. So I think that we do have a choice. Go ahead, Hilda.
Well, I agree completely with you. I think that we have a choice, and the choice should be the safety of our students, our staff, our teachers. And in order to do that, we have to go virtual. It is a difficult decision, yes. Maybe it's not the better option educationally speaking for the students, but that's what we have. That's a safety option, and that's why I need that should be our choice.
Any other discussion? So we did have a motion in a second. So Maddie, you have that written down somewhere. Then with a roll call vote, Dan?
Aye.
Meg? Meg, you're on mute.
Aye.
Hilda?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
I also vote aye. So our schools will be opening virtually in the fall.
Thank you.
Next is board reports. We'll start with the bond and construction update, I believe. Do we have a bond and construction update today?
Ryan is out, but I will say that we're pretty excited. I was going to use this as part of my superintendent update, but things are really moving forward. It's great news. We have our official permits for both sites. They're working hard now, moving forward and getting those buildings put up. I think we're on target to reopen Mount Stewart at the beginning of the year next year. Not so sure on the timeline with the new building. It just kind of depends on, now that we have the permit, how quickly they're able to put that building together. We've also started some of our sessions with Lincoln and the remodeling that's done there. So I'd like to be able to bring a fuller report to you, and we can even invite Damon and Stephen to attend to give you a more detailed report at our next board meeting here in August.
Thank you. Do we have a legislative report?
There's always something going on with legislative, I tell you. So yes, board, as your legislative rep, one thing that's coming up, it was decided that WASDA's annual conference, sorry, Hilda, you may be like, what are you talking about? So basically this would be the legislative piece for the school districts across the state. That conference is going to be virtual, so that is going to be held November 18th through the 21st. So of course I will plan as legislative rep to be involved with that. Also, just kind of as a legislative rep, just thought I'd report back to the board is that we were able, I was able to meet with Alex Ybarra, and I think that was a good conversation. I think he was able to kind of just clue in on some of the things that we last year that the school district, many school districts across the state were really advocating for. It sounds like it's going to be a really tough year with education probably being not the priority as far as funding, continue to probably look like there will be cuts so that wasn't on the positive side, but we're able to kind of focus in on what can we be advocating for, what will likely move forward. So that was a really helpful conversation. And so again, I'm glad that he was able to meet. That was great. The other thing I would just say is that Ginger already added some of these pieces, so I won't repeat any of the things she's already done. The other thing we might just want to know is there are ledge rep, as a ledge rep, there are a bunch of webinars that are being offered to include those. There was one for the Eastern Washington counties that was recorded. I tried to watch it, and then I got to follow up with them because the recording was like 8 seconds long, and it didn't give me what I was hoping for. So anyway, it was live when I was at work, and so there was no way I could attend, but it was recorded. So hopefully I'll learn more about that. The last thing that I'd say I'd just report is I think most of us know this, the governor did earlier, just a few days ago, did extend the proclamation for governing, the amending and extending proclamation that continues to keep moving forward with the COVID situation. So, and I forget when I think that's September 1st is again through that extension with a few amendments in it as well. So that's my report.
Thank you. Is there early learning report?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot, just the one thing now. The Early Learning Coalition isn't meeting during the summer, but there's planning going on for starting up. We've been trying to do at least book giveaways to kids, families with kids from age 0 to 5. So they give books and toys and things, educational toys. The other thing that I'm involved with, I guess that I'm doing, because we couldn't get the Reading in the Park going this summer, I started a YouTube site, I guess. That's just my name there, but you can see on YouTube. And I've been reading stories into that, and there are 5 categories. There's K through 3 books, there's and stories. There's 3 through 6 stories. There's 6 through 9 stories. There's 9 through 12 stories, and there's adult. Well, they're not all stories. There's adult stuff. A lot of the 9 through 12 and adult things are history, American history, world history, and the Constitution is in there, along with a bunch of other things. Anyway, I am hoping that parents can access that for their kids, and the kids can access that for entertainment and for information. And feel free. I don't know much about how you do it, but there's no subscription, there's no cost or anything like that. So just go and listen. Stories and history and all kinds of stuff. That's it.
Thank you, Dan. Jaden, did you have a report that you wanted to give tonight?
Yes, I did have a couple of things to say. So I just wanted to start off that I am incredibly thankful I have such a decisive group making these tough decisions and staying so well informed with how students are going to learn this fall. And I just wanted to say that moving forward, it would be much more helpful if the information coming out was more clear and comprehensive, even to a student level, because I know myself, among others, are very interested about learning how we will be going back to school. There is a group that couldn't care less about what's happening, but the students that are valuing their education would like that comprehensive information that is mostly going out to parents in the community at the moment. And that's all I have to add.
Thank you, Jaden. We are thankful to have a decisive and strong student voice joining us. And possibly we can form like a working committee or something with Jaden to help us solve some of those communication things from that student side. I'm looking at Ginger. She's to the left of me on Zoom. She doesn't know she's to the left of me. Teaching and learning, the only report I have is that in case people were unaware, the board had voted recently to adopt Edgenuity and Schoology. Both of those are robust, commonly used programs. They have very informative websites. So anybody who wants to know more about those, or even see schools that have used it, or hear from parents or teachers, you can find that on their websites. Those are commonly used across the nation. So I wanted to make sure that in teaching and learning, that vote happened. I think it was last week we took that vote, or 2 weeks ago we took that vote. And now we're on to the update from the superintendent.
So for my update, I'd like to really do a shout out to our childcare facilities here in childcare centers here in Ellensburg. I had an opportunity to meet on Zoom with several of our childcare centers, and they are just really great partners. And I have it as my goal this year to even partner more closely together with them. I'm going to be meeting with them on a monthly basis. And I know they have been, I'm going to mention Michelle, for example, at Creative Kids. She's just a great partner, really wants to learn about like how to access Schoology and Ingenuity, because many of her families, for example, are wanting to just have their kids stay there at the daycare and then do the virtual academy. And we're so fortunate as well to have Julie Hamilton as our early learning coordinator, and she already has a real strong relationship with our child care centers. And we just look forward to strengthening that, to partnering together with Julie to support them and really knowing how to use Schoology and the Edgenuity and other programs that teachers might be using this year, really supporting them so that they can support our students while they're at the child care center. But they're just a wonderful group of people and very committed to the whole child and really caring for our students, because many of our students are also in their child care centers. So just wanted to do a shout out for them and just to let you know that I'm looking forward to building a stronger partnership with them this year.
All right, thank you. At this time, we will hold our next public comment. I can tell you that I'm a little bit worried about reading my monologue at this point, but Maddie, are you ready on your side?
I am.
All right, thank you. Individuals wishing to be heard by the board will first be recognized by the chair. Individuals will be recognized within Zoom by using the icon to show they are raising their hand. Individuals, after identifying themselves, stating their name and address for the record, individuals will proceed to make comments within the 3-minute time limit. In order to provide equal opportunity for comments, an individual's microphone will be turned off at the 3-minute time limit. The chair may interrupt or terminate an individual's statement when it is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. The board as a whole has a final decision in determining the appropriateness of all such rulings. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act 4230, agendas and topic must be set in advance of the meeting. Board members will not respond to public comment during the meeting. Additionally, comments can be submitted to the board at board@esd401.org. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment to the board? Board and Maddie, I'm not seeing anyone with their hand raised. Would you agree?
I am not either. I agree.
All right, at this point, we will be closing public comment. Are there any proposed items for future consideration? I want to note that Dan did have a proposed item for future consideration in the study session, and that was to move forward the work that we started on a transparency policy. We are going to continue moving that work forward. At this point, we do have an executive session. The board will be adjourning to executive session that will be regarding bargaining. We will be out for 20 minutes. There will not be action taken when we come back from executive session. When we come back from executive session, we will be adjourning the meeting. But this session will last 20 minutes. Board, hopefully that link works. It was in your email. So you leave this session, go click on that email. The board is still in executive session and will be for another 15 minutes. Maddie, is the rest of the board just sitting in the waiting room, or am I just really that much faster at clicking on a link?
We made it.
I was gonna start texting you. It's actually a terrible joke because you could just leave and then we don't have a quorum and then we can't adjourn the meeting and then I think I just have to stay here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Awful. Waiting for Meg. Oh, she's coming. All right, we have board calendar. Without Matt being here, do we have much to discuss with board calendar? Okay.
Next meeting the 19th.
Yep. Clarification and next steps.
So my clarifications are
I don't
that
think
I try to contact Damon to see if he can come and give us a more formal update on the bond projects for next time. And that we want to try to track down, if Jason has it, maybe if he wants to send it to me, I can make sure that it gets posted on the website, on our packet, the transparency policy. We can at least maybe in a study session, start looking at that transparency policy. And then the third one is to do some more work on the agenda with Tasha and Dan during our agenda setting. And then I'm also going to set a date for Jason and Dan and myself and Paige and Kim to start that discussion around looking at our overall budget for the 21-22 school year. Those are my next steps. Was there any others that you guys have for me?
Meg, you're on mute.
I just unmuted myself. Let's see. Okay. Okay. I don't think we're talking only about 21, 22. I know that we hope we're going to not have to talk about 2021, but I find it hard to believe that we won't.
Possibly, Meg. I mean, right now, what we have in the budget is you saw the budget, Brian.
Yeah, but my opinion about the budget is that it's a plan. It's not. We know that, like everything else under COVID, who knows what'll really happen.
Well, I appreciate that, Meg, because I do think that looking at like our CARES Act money and some of our other funds, we don't know what's going to happen in January and what that reduction is going to be for public schools. Everyone, there's something coming. So yeah, you're right. We'll have to take a look at that too, and at least kind of know where that cushion is going to be within the budget, especially if that happens.
Also, I didn't manage to get in on board calendar soon enough to say, I know we have a meeting on August 19th, but we don't have any meetings scheduled for next year, which since I don't know. Oh yeah, I guess I have one in September, but I don't know where I got it. But I'd be interested to know about fall meetings.
Yeah, I appreciate that. When Matt gets back, I'll make sure he puts all of those on the calendar because that's his responsibility. So I'll make sure that gets done.
And board, we do have a possible joint meeting with the city that hasn't been hasn't been settled on yet. But then that joint meeting is either 26.
I saw that one of our city council members accepted a meeting there, and I didn't know if that went out to all of us. So let me follow up on that too with Stacy.
Yeah, to my knowledge, we haven't settled on that, but that Matt can help with this. But that's end of August. That would be a joint meeting with the school board and the city council.
Okay.
And I actually will be in Bozeman on that evening, or at least traveling to Bozeman. I think we'll leave in the morning, and it's a long road, so I don't know if we'll be there yet.
It's a beautiful view. That's the drive that we did today, or this month, driving back from Colorado. So it's really,
oh yeah. It is. Yeah.
All right, signing of official documents, right? Matt wrangles us all in there. So, that leads us to adjournment.
So do we need to go sign some stuff?
I don't know, Matt, we'll contact you, Dan. I don't know. Matt sends emails and says, come sign.
Right, okay.
Papers.
Yeah, and I'm not signing documents either, but I move we adjourn.
Okay.
Meg has moved and everyone has seconded. So this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
All right. See ya.